What's up guys, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So this is going to be a PSA Express Returns video. We've got a total of 8 cards to go through. These are all from the big collection I posted a mail day of a while back. And they're pretty much the 8 highest end cards from that collection, aside from 1 or 2 that I decided to send to BGS rather than PSA. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. And we're going to start out with a Serpent Night Dragon, first edition for Magic Ruler. I thought this card was pretty solid. It's definitely got great centering if we flip it over to the back. Not really any whitening or anything like that. It might have had a couple of the tiniest surface imperfections, but generally, especially when they're on the back, I find those don't seem to matter too much for PSA. And the grade we got on this Serpent Night Dragon was a Gem Mint 10. So great start to the return. We're going through them in the order that I submitted them, so you'll see the serial numbers are all consecutive. But yeah, I already have a very strong BGS 9.5 of this, so this card's probably not something I'm going to keep. If anyone's interested in it, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. I may not put it up for sale publicly, like immediately, but realistically, it's something I'm happy to let go of. Alright, next up, we have another secret rare. This one is a big hitter. This is the biggest card in the sub. Yugioh, first edition from Serpent. So if you watched the collection mail day that I posted, this card was really clean. It's got not perfect centering, it's a little bit tilted like left to right at the top, but very solid overall for a Yugioh. And again, condition wise, the card is just really phenomenal front and back. I did expect this card to get a Gem Mint 10. Bit of junk on the case there, but that's not on the card. So I was pretty nervous when I got the results back for this submission, and the grade we got on this Yugioh was another Gem Mint 10. So this is awesome. I did get upcharged for this one, but it wasn't actually too bad. I got upcharged 150 bucks. So the total cost for grading this card was 300, which is actually reasonably fair. I thought I might even get the higher upcharge because there have been some sales of Yugioh over the $10,000 mark. But luckily, I guess whoever's working at PSA that day didn't know about those. Alright, so for Serpent, this kind of goes in order of the sets, the submission. We've got all 4 of the biggest cards from Serpent. The PSV set that I got in that collection was the cleanest set in the whole collection, so pretty much every one of the big hollows from it was worth grading. And for this submission, I just chose the 4 biggest hitters. So now we got Buster Blader, another really big card. Again, if we take a quick look at the condition, definitely really nice overall. The back is off-center, which is, I think, pretty common for Serpent Supers and Ultra Rares. But it's not super bad, and the front is really well-centered, so I think that's... when you have it like that, it usually doesn't affect the grade too much. I did think this could get a 9 from a harsh grader, but we got the Gem Mint 10, so really happy with that. Another awesome card. This one and the Yugioh, I don't actually have BGS 9.5s of anymore. I sold those or traded them earlier this year, so it's nice to have Gem Mint copies back in the collection. So moving on to the next big card from Serpent, that is the legendary Fisherman. Again, this was a really nice copy, very similar to the Buster Blader, where the front is centered, but the back is pretty shifted left to right. This one I think is even worse than the Buster Blader, so I did think it could probably get a 9. And I wasn't necessarily expecting a 10 on this one. I think it may also have... Yeah, it's got like a slight... It's not exactly damage, it's just like a little area where the gloss on the front of the card isn't as strong as on the rest of it. You can see just there. So that was another reason why I thought this card might get a 9. But we got the Gem Mint 10, so that's awesome. I do have a BGS 9.5 of this. I may sell one of them, either the 9.5 or the 10. I'm not really too sure. So yeah, so far we've had 4 cards, and they've all been Gem Mint. Here we have the final one of the cards from Serpent that I submitted, which is a 1000 Dice Restrict. This is probably the hardest card to grade from Serpent, at least out of the ones that I submitted in this sub. Now this card I did not expect a 10 on because the centering is fine, but if we flip it over to the back, you should be able to see it's got a reasonably visible piece of edge wear at the top. I feel like if it was on the bottom edge or something, maybe it wouldn't count as much. But on the top, I definitely expected that to knock the grade a bit. And I think it may have some light, like you can see some waxing up there as well. And maybe a couple of scratches and things on the back. So my expectation for this card was just a 9, and the grade we got was actually a Gem Mint 10, so this was very surprising. I didn't expect a 10 on this card. You could maybe argue it's just about a fair grade. I mean, it's not like it's in terrible condition. But yeah, definitely not something I was expecting. It's cool to have, though. I've never graded a gem of this card, either PSA or BGS before, because pretty much all of the copies I've had have been off-center. This one is well-centered, so it displays really nicely from the front at least. And so yeah, another great card in this submission. And that is 5 for 5 on consecutive Gem Mint grades. Now the next card is probably my favorite card in the submission. It's a Gemini Elf, and I'm not sure how easily you can tell on camera, but it's got a bit of a fade to it as well. If you check out the stars, if I just bring along, let's say like that legendary Fisherman from before, I think you should probably just about be able to see that there's a bit less magenta in the stars compared to on a normal color card. So that was one thing that was really cool about this copy, and the other thing is just that the centering is really good. Often Gemini Elf, like literally all the copies I've had have been off-center one way or the other, or really badly tilted or something like that. So this card just displays really nicely from the front, and because of that I was hoping it would get a Gem Mint grade. It has like a little bit of whitening on the corners, which nearly all of these have. Maybe a couple of print dots on the surface, but it's definitely a nice card overall. And the grade we got is a Gem Mint 10. So again, just a really huge grade. This submission is pretty crazy overall. Like all 6 of the cards we've been through are pretty high-end cards, and every single one of them consecutively in the submission got a Gem Mint 10. So yeah, really awesome. The last 2 cards we have to finish. We have one from Dark Crisis, which is the Exodia Netcross. This I thought was a really nice card, probably one of the cards I was expecting a 10 on from the submission. It's a little bit off center top to bottom, but aside from that, it's very, very clean on both sides. Doesn't really have any kind of issues that I could see. So yeah, based on the other results especially, I would have expected a 10 on this, but we actually got a Mint 9, so that's the end of the Gem Mint streak. Still, to be honest though, I'm happy with it. It's a fair enough grade. The card is a little bit off center. I may crack this one and send it to BGS at some point, but if anyone's interested in buying it, then like realistically I'm probably happy to sell it as it is as well. Still a pretty solid grade on a really awesome card from Dark Crisis. And the final card in this submission is a pretty big card. It's a Blackluster Soldier from Invasion of Chaos. But this card, I didn't think this had any chance at a 10. So first off, you can see it's off center top to bottom. Next up, it has this really unusual, that's on the card, not the case, that factory line just all the way across the front. It doesn't affect the eye appeal too badly when you're just looking at the card, but under the light, it's pretty obvious. It's definitely quite deep. So yeah, it has that, and it had some, like a little bit of edge and corner wear as well on the back. It's still more or less a pack fresh card, but the combination of all those issues meant that I thought, honestly, it could get an 8. I was hoping for a 9 on it, and the grade we got was the Mint 9. So a pretty solid way to finish the submission. I knew this card wasn't going to get a 10. 9 is still really good. And again, this one is probably for sale if anyone's interested. I don't have a gem, so I may just keep it as a 9 as a kind of placeholder. But I'm never too bothered about that kind of stuff, so if anyone wants it, I would be happy to sell it as well. Yeah, that brings us to the end of this PSA Express Returns video. So it was an awesome submission overall. I sent 8 cards, got 3/4 of them back Gem Mint. And especially considering like a couple of the cards I didn't even think had a chance for a gem. That's just incredible overall. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you had fun looking through the cards like I did. And with that being said, this is Schlost signing out. I hope you guys will have a great day.